Okay, hello student, welcome back. And today we are going to do revision for our SPM exam in 2021. So actually it's another 2 months for the exam, and what the student should be doing now is definitely not the time to read book. It's the time to do exercise. That's why you see that I am here in this 2 months. Actually no need to read book already, because you don't have time to read the book because you have from 4 textbook, you have from 5 textbook. Even if you read the nota ringkas, it is still very thick. And yeah, so don't read book already. Another 2 months, just do past year paper. You still have around 2 months, so you should do at least 10 at least 10 at least 10 set of past year paper, or 20 will be the best. If you manage to do 20, I would think that you will get extra, that quite a lot actually. If you do 20, usually I think student will either get B or A if you do 20. But 20 is a lot 20 is not little but 10 should enough to make your mark get higher. And yeah, so and you need to get used to the format question. That is why also we ask you to do, because sometimes students know how to, they know the answer, they got read before, but they will not write in the exam because they are not used to practice to write out the answer. That's why now is the time to just do all past year paper. And if you're watching this video, then it will be good, because it and what you can do is you can pause it, and you can pause it and try to find yourself, and then we try to do. Okay, let's dive into question number 1. This is 2020. The new syllabus start also in 2020, Malacca paper. And another thing, revision, do not start with objective first. Always start with subjective and essay. Because if you usually if you do subjective, means you cannot tembak. So how you want to know to answer, you need to ask your friend. Okay, you can ask your friend, PM your teacher, PM me. So don't just if objective you can tembak, and it doesn't really help a lot because the thinking process is lesser. If you're doing subjective essay, the thinking process is more, where you need to think and think and think to get the answer. So eventually you do better. And you don't do objective paper. Do 10 set, like paper 2 finish, then only you just do 2-3 set of objective. The ratio of essay and subjective to objective will be 7-1. Okay, ratio set is 7-1, but maybe 7-3 like that Just do more paper 2 question skip all the paper 1. Okay, let's look at this question, section A. Diagram 1 show experiment to study electrical conductivity of a plastic rod. So it's very important to highlight the keyword, and sometimes the answer is already in the on top. Okay, so we need to know whenever that we see a diagram, we need to when we read the question, we need to know why you want to do that because in every experiment there is a hypothesis or objective, and if there is no hypothesis and no objective, then why you want to do the experiment. So let's look at this. Ryan wants to experiment to study the electric conductivity in a plastic rod. So basically he want to study electric conductivity in plastic rod. So you can imagine in your mind that plastic don't conduct electric. So maybe I want to take a metal and a plastic and a rubber. No need rubber metal and plastic, and then I just put and try the light bulb, and if got light, then got no. Because this is a science The reason we are doing this because it is science. Okay, we don't want to just say, we want to prove it. That is why science is not like history. Science is something that you want to, when you say something, we want the person to able to justify the answer. Show me, tell me, find out the data, like this one, the data, give me the conclusion why. analysis, inference. So this is called science because we want to have a answer that is justified by analysis. So okay, so we want to do this experiment. We read a question. Of course, we know already lah. But how you know? You need to show it. Okay, and then the experiment is repeated by replacing the plastic rod with a copper rod. Okay, so they are using a plastic and a copper. Of course, this one light up and this one does not light up. Very easy. Okay, write out the observation for this experiment. What are the observation for this experiment?
Plastic rod.
So what's the answer? Plastic rod?
Does not light up.
Does not light up. Okay, so the question say, write one observation for this experiment. Observation means it is something that you observe. Right? In science, they only ask a few things. Okay, so write one observation. The science always asks a few questions. Observation, conclusion, inference, variable, procedure, and so on. And you remember when you do experiment, we have a step of maybe the objective and maybe the hypothesis, and maybe the first one is the problem. Sometimes science is not just science. Science is related to many business research field also. When you study business also, I believe, actually I didn't learn business, but I believe it should be something like this, because it start with a problem. It start with a problem. Problem like, okay, now my plastic cannot I do not know whether the plastic can conduct electric. Then the other people will ask you, how you know? How you know that plastic do not light up electric? I know because I know lah. You read from the book lah. Then you will be rejected already. What you say does not reflect on evidence, but what you say is just based on your opinion. So we have a problem. For example, like the plastic do not conduct electric. Then we have the objective like to study the electric rod. We have the hypothesis. Plastic do not conduct electric. Then we have the variable. You remember the three variable. After you do the variable, we have the procedure. You say apparatus being arranged, use two battery, put in the plastic rod. After that, the experiment is repeated by using other materials such as copper, wood, blah blah blah, and so on if you want. Observation will be something like this. You can take picture. You can usually in a table form will be nice. So this is a table form. You can write it in an essay form, but better is a table form. And after the observation, we have the discussion, the conclusion, where the conclusion support the hypothesis that the hypothesis. Let's say I put the hypothesis: plastic rod does not light up the light bulb, or does not conduct electric. Sorry, I should use conduct electric because the question itself already say that you want to know the conductivity. Okay, so hypothesis is accepted. Plastic does not conduct electric. So when people ask you, you say, this is my paper. I give you see my whole paper. I give you whole paper, and you tell me what is wrong that plastic. That if you say plastic conduct electric, or you don't believe what I say, this is my whole paper I give to you. You see and see. So the another person will see, or maybe your procedure you do not that good you just do one plastic only. You didn't do other plastic, or maybe I don't know, maybe your IC wrong. I don't know lah. But it must be based on a paper analysis. So this is called science. We want it to be in a step of procedure. And I say it is also applicable in whatever field when you go to work and so on. Correct or not? Because when you want to have a problem of business problem, people don't buy a product. I want to know why people buy iPhone. then you do your objective, okay, you do the hypothesis, people buy iPhone because of the brand, then I'm not sure whether have variable or not. Maybe you can do some survey observation, then the data, you analyze the data, you say people buy iPhone because of the brand followed by the price, and so we propose that you need to create more iPhone or more branding. I don't know lah, huh? So this one, when you talk in the business world, then people will, oh, okay, you don't just say I think because of your idea only, and you have nothing to prove, then people will say the door is just at there. Okay, so you okay, so our basic thing in science also is like that. It's like a flow of program. Okay, so write out one observation. Write out the one that just now the student say that the observation is plastic rod does not light up. If you say plastic rod does not light up, I will give 0 mark. Okay, I will give 0 mark. Why is it? This one get 0 mark. Plastic rod does not light up. Yes, very good. So you must say that plastic rod does not light up the bulb. Then it makes sense, because we are talking about a bulb. You don't say a plastic rod does not light. People ask you why what you see. Then you say the plastic does not light up. Of course, the plastic doesn't light up because the plastic is just a plastic. The plastic does not light up the bulb, so it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, B, state one inference of the experiment. What do you mean by inference? Actually, I think this is a very difficult question. If you can do that, it's very good. What's the inference? Inference is something that when you do the experiment, it is something that you understand, something that you know, yet it is haven't been tested. It is like a hypothesis, a new information that you find out when you are doing the experiment. You can test it maybe in next experiment, but you just find out in this experiment. So what are the inference for this question? Correct. Okay, plastic rod does not collect in electricity. Very good. Okay, so maybe we can write plastic does not light up the bulb because it does not conduct electricity. Okay, so it is quite similar to the conclusion of the experiment, to know whether plastic rod conduct electricity. And here already mentioned that it does not conduct electricity. Almost the same, but inference is not the same as conclusion. It's also quite difficult because there could be a few answers, and usually the marking scheme just require one answer. How you control this experiment? By changing the when they talk about control, it is talking about the variable. So variable is divided to 3. What is the 3 variable?
Manipulator variable, constant variable, and response variable.
Manipulator variable, and another one responding, and another one is control variable. And there sometimes they have a different name, like what the manipulated, either they call it as independent variable, dependent variable, and also constant variable. So sometimes I also not confused lah, but I'm yeah, sometimes I use more independent variable because I'm doing like research. But yeah, in a science book, I think has the same lah, independent variable and manipulated, dependent variable or what is this, responding variable. What is my handwriting? Okay, also it's the same thing. And one more is the control. So what is the manipulated variable for this experiment? What is the manipulated variable?
Substance.
Okay, substance, type of substance. Okay, so I just put here type of substance. How about the responding?
Condition of the bulb.
Conduction of the conduction of electric lah, electric. And how about the control variable? Okay, so the answer for the control variable will be the battery lah. So this will be the answer in the marking scheme, but personally I think that it does not play much role lah. It might play some role, but if you want to say battery, then you can say the size of the conductivity item. The why okay lah, can lah, because you always have nothing to say and you must say something also, correct or not? When you do experiment, there must be something that is controlled, so you still need to say so. So the closest will be the battery. So the manipulated is the thing that you want to change. The responding will be the conductivity of electric. The reason I say conductivity of electric, some students might get it wrong if you say the whether the bulb will on or off. If you say the bulb is turn on or turn off, maybe you get mark, maybe you wouldn't get any mark. The best way for responding is to the conductivity of electric. Okay, why the answer is conductivity of electric? Because when we read because variable is reflected upon your hypothesis or your objective. So what is the objective? My objective is study whether that the substance plastic rod conduct electric. I didn't say that I want to study the plastic rod can light up the light bulb. I want to know the plastic rod conduct electric. So eventually I no need to use light bulb. I can use ammeter if I want. I can use voltmeter if I want. I can use a fan if I want, a small fan to know that whether plastic rod can conduct electric. So the manipulated variable will be usually in your hypothesis. Responding variable also in your hypothesis. It is in the question. If no hypothesis, then it will be in your objective. Of course, there are sometimes in research that we does not have hypothesis, but I think for science, I think almost 100% we have hypothesis. Okay, the hypothesis is, let me ask you a question. What is the hypothesis of the experiment?
Electric conductor.
Plastic rod is not an electric conductor. It's supposed to be, plastic rod is not an electric conductor. Okay lah, can Plastic rod is not a conductor of electric. But I follow back the question Plastic rod does not conduct electric. So that will be our hypothesis, and we now want to test the hypothesis. Che, you say only so we want to test it. Okay, so we do and test it. Okay, where was I here also got the hypothesis. Okay, wait, before that, how can you control the experiment? So the control experiment will be the battery. Okay, so we can say the number of battery. Put here number of battery. Actually, this is not a really a very good example of control variable, because even if you put 1 battery, 2 battery, 3 battery, 4 battery, even you change the battery, it does not really affect the result of the experiment. Yeah, unless you use ammeter or voltmeter, or you put a lot battery, maybe, I'm not sure. If you put a lot of battery, maybe they are too high voltage until maybe plastic rod also the electric can go through. If too high until to that extent So anyway, this is the answer. It's not a good example of question, but you still need to put an answer, and what I think is the closest to it is the battery, because you don't want to say type of switch, the light bulb, you don't want to say type of light bulb. You can say that you can say that, but you will still not get correct, because I just follow the marking scheme. This is what the Malaysian paper do. Okay, all the teacher need to follow the marking scheme. But that is why sometimes students get confused. They say, why type of battery can but type of battery cannot? Because the marking scheme say like that. But if you really truly understand, actually if the students say type of light bulb, it makes sense, because since you are saying the number of battery, and this one is type of battery. Yeah, it is not a good question if I won't ask this
Okay.
question. Yeah. State the hypothesis for this experiment. So what is the hypothesis of the experiment?
Plastic rod does not conduct electricity.
Yeah, plastic
It's
rod.
not electric.
Yeah, actually, plastic rod does not conduct electricity. Very good. Predict what will happen to the bulb if we use iron rod in this experiment.
Light up.
Light up?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you say light up, you won't get any mark.
Iron rod will conduct electricity.
Predict what happened to the bulb if we use the iron rod. Okay, you need to say the bulb will light up. Yeah, you don't say light up. Light up is a very subjective. Light up is almost like a verb. Run. What will happen? Run. You don't say run. You say he is running. Ali is running. She is running. So there is a object and a subject, something like that lah. Object and a predicate, something like that. The sentence must make sense. So sometimes that's why I say if the student lose mark because of this, it is really not worth it lah. The teacher can give you right, but the teacher give you wrong also because of the marking scheme. Diagram 2A, 2B. Show experiment to produce electricity from chemical reaction. Okay, so this is a chemical reaction of when we read this, we know that it is electrolysis. Correct, not electrolysis. Is this electrolysis?
Electrolysis.
Should produce electric from, yeah, okay, from here we can read from here, produce electric from chemical. So sometimes you use electric from chemical or chemical from electric. So this is more like a battery lah, a battery, because yeah. Okay, so we have a zinc, we have a copper, we have the voltmeter, and after that we copper, then we have 0 voltmeter. So we can see. So, but when we look at this question, we need to think lah, why? I think this one is when they are doing 2A in the beginning of the experiment. Yeah, let me read the question. Show experiment to produce electric from chemical. Maybe A, when they are doing the experiment, you get the volt, and after that you get 0 volt. And why? When you why this thing happen? Okay, so because of what? Probably we can say that the chemical has been used up already. It has been used up. Like a battery, like when you buy a battery, there is a chemical of 2 types of metal inside, and after a while, when you use up the chemical, and the battery does not produce the electric anymore. But of course, the battery that we bought from DIY, it is solid. The only difference here is it is liquid, and it actually produce how many watt is this?
1.5.
1 point what?
1.2 something.
2 something. This is 0, this is 1. So this one will be 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, 1.8, and 2.0. Correct or not? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, correct. So this one will be 1.2 is 1.4.
1.4.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you cannot see. Just let's zoom in a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so it will be
Yeah.
1.4. Okay, so this one will be a 1.4 watt. And after the experiment you use, it already finished. Okay, the chemical is already used up. Okay, so how electric is being produced? Usually you just use two different type of metal. If you remember the series of reactivity, start from magnesium, potassium. Kalau nak cari makanan ada zat besi, susah pun harus cuba. If you remember the series of reactivity, we know that start from the potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, tin, platinum, and so on. So this one you need to know. So from zinc to copper, where's my zinc? Zinc to copper. Copper is down there. There is a difference. So by using a different type of metal, we will put it together, we can release electric. But of course, if you put it higher, it's even better. Then you got more electric. If you put it lower, for example, this one and maybe here lower, so eventually you get a lower voltage. The higher you put, the higher voltage that you get. Okay, record the reading. So the reading for copper and zinc will be 1.4 watt. Oh, this one is copper and copper. I read the question. I didn't. Okay, so this is copper and copper. So if you're using the same metal and the same metal, eventually you get nothing. You get 0 watt. If you want, maybe you just use copper and metal lah, or copper and higher a bit lah, magnesium, calcium, then you get a higher voltage. State one inference for the experiment. What are the inference for the experiment? Okay, so this is a not easy question. What inference? What you know? So we know that this one we just learned that different reactivity of metal will produce electric. Okay, different pair of reactivity in electrolyte will produce electricity. Can understand?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, this series of reactivity, reactivity series. Of course, the highest one will be here is the potassium. Potassium, sodium. This one you can use to make bomb lah, because it is very reactive. And one of the most bottom one is what? Do you remember? Mercury, gold. This is silver, and this is gold, which is totally not reactive. So that's why we keep the gold, because gold don't usually rust. We keep the gold lah, because it don't rust. You don't want to keep the something that is so reactive that even you put in water, it will cause explosion. If you still remember the experiment, so they just give you little bit lah, just 1 spoon enough. If you use a lot, then you can make both. So what is the inference? So the inference will be different what?
Different types of metal
in electrolyte will
convert electricity.
Will what?
Conduct electricity.
Will conduct, you won't get any mark.
Produce.
Will produce. produce electricity. Correct or not? It does not conduct. I mean, all of it conduct. If you want to say conduct, even copper also can conduct electricity. Will produce electric. So we need to be very careful. Just do more practice Which pair of metal have produced electric? Which one?
Zinc and copper.
Zinc and copper. Very good. Zinc and copper. Based on this experiment, state the operational definition of chemical cell. So obviously this is a chemical scale. So they are asking like what are the definition for chemical cell?
Chemical cell is a process that produces electricity.
Chemical cell is a process. Maybe you can say chemical cell because it is something to produce electric. So this one we know already. It is something that produce electric, and it is something that has different type of metal in different type of metal in reactivity series. So maybe I can say chemical cell is a pair of electrode of different type of metal in reactivity series, and then I put a comma. It will produce electric. Okay, so this is the operational definition for chemical cell. Okay, any question? No. So if you got question will be good because they can ask many things, hypothesis or what, and whether, let me read this for, maybe I ask what is the hypothesis for this experiment? So maybe you can say that the hypothesis is different type of metal in reactivity series when they are put in a electrolyte, they will produce electricity. So you can say that so you can say different type of metal. The reason is there is a different type here and there is the same type here, copper and copper. So it is it's already controlled. We can see that there's a control variable at here. So they can ask like that. Many things they can ask control variable, manipulated variable, and so on. But because the question didn't state the hypothesis, so we just make it up. But we're not going to go through this. Next question. If not, later I'll be explaining too much again. Okay, diagram 3 show an experiment to study the effect of nutrient deficiency toward a plant. So basically, they always ask the few things only nitrogen, potassium, and one more is one more is what I also forgot already. Okay, never mind. But the common one will be the nitrogen, potassium. So we can see at here, usually the question only will ask these few things the thing, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and usually what you need to know is the deficiency. Here say yellow, green. Why I cannot highlight one? What is this? Okay, so maybe you can say this one, green, yellow, green leaf, and for the phosphorus will be darker green, blue, stunt growth, and for potassium, okay, closure around the outer leaf. This one also is okay, leaf with dead tissue around the edges. Okay, so you just write that. This one is closure. Okay so it's very good it's following the notes. Okay, so roughly when we look at this question, we need to know in our mind something like this is happening. Okay, so now we understand the question. Now we can do the question. Show experiment to study the deficiency of plants. So this is nitrogen. So again, we look at here, nitrogen means develop poor nodule, lower leaf, turn pale or yellow green. Okay, it's okay. So we have this nitrogen. Write one observation of this experiment. What the observation?
Plant with without plant with nitrogen deficiency in nutrient has yellow leaves.
Very good. Plant in did they tell me in what?
Nutrient without nitrogen.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so we can say that the plant in not solution, or you can say in a solution without nitrogen, the leaf of the plant will become yellow. We don't say yellow green even though what you say what pale yellow green. The reason I didn't say pale green because the question didn't say but if my students say also I will give correct So observation is quite easy. It's something that is always in the answer is always in the question. So one of the observation will be the plant in not solution, the leaf is green color. Okay, green color. State the variable, manipulated variable and responding. What are the manipulated and responding variable?
Types of nutrition.
Wait, let me read the question again.
Type of solution.
Type solution. Okay, very good. So it will be type of solution. And then for the responding,
growth of plant.
Growth of plant, very good. Growth of plant or size of the plant, not the green Don't write here green or what leaf It will be wrong. Okay? State the hypothesis for this experiment.
Plant with nitrogen deficiency will grow yellow leaves.
Plant with
nitrogen deficiency
will grow yellow leaf. I will say plant with the leaf will turn yellow. Okay, so that will be the hypothesis of this experiment. But for this one, sometimes it depends. There's a few answers because actually I'm thinking in my mind. Actually because this is the objective of it. In my mind actually, when I'm reading the question, I'm thinking like the hypothesis is deficiency of plant with deficiency of nitrogen will cause not a normal growth. Okay, or you can say nitrogen is needed for the plant normal growth. You also can say like that. The reason is I will say hypothesis is plant will cause the leaf in normal growth because when we do experiment, usually we don't know what will happen. We don't know what will happen, whether the leaf turn yellow or there's a stunt growth or there is the dead tissue around the leaf. We don't know. So usually the hypothesis when we are doing experiment, we say that nitrogen is needed for the plant to have normal growth. So I will write that lah, because I feel that it is better. But of course you can write it turn yellow because you already read the book, so you are more precise into the straight away the yellow or no yellow because you know. But if you are science, you when you do experiment you actually don't know. That's why I say nitrogen is needed for the plant normal growth, and it is correct also. And it could be there are a few more answer. It could be a few more answer, and if the teacher is good they will mark it properly and give it correct. If the teacher is young, and then he might follow very strict to the marking scheme, and student get wrong, and when student get wrong they start to get confused like, hey, why this one wrong, then when they find other teacher why, hey, then become right again. So this is the so you need to help yourself lah, pandai lah. Okay, mark correct in the boxes provided which show the same cluster of nutrient as nitrogen. So what is it?
Phosphorus and calcium.
Very good, phosphorus and calcium. Okay, and ferron is more towards needed by human to do what? Ferron for human to do what? What?
Forgot already.
Ferron to this one you need to remember to build hemoglobin, red blood cell.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't have ferron, you might have less of red blood cell, and the disease called anemia. Is it anemia? Your face will turn.
Yeah.
Your face will turn pale. So this one you also need to know. So you need to eat a lot of ferrum. Maybe I think it's kidney or broccoli. Some example of the food if the question asked. Okay, let's do this one. Plastic are used in a wide variety of products. Have displaced other materials such as wood, metal, and glass. Table 2 show the amount of the world plastic population from year 2009 to 2015. So this is the year. This is the result. Okay, so we can see the trend is increasing. Usually I want to read what the question really want. Plastic is the white display in the world. Table 2 show the amount. So this is not a research. This is just a data. Data that the thing go up. Based on the result in table 2, draw a graph production against time. So of course you cannot draw, but very fast only. Very fast. 2009 is 240. 2009 is 240. Where is it Here is it?
There's 3. One more.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay, after that is 250, 270. 250, 260, and so on. So it will be something like this lah. I didn't draw lah but no time to draw, something like this lah. But of course you do properly lah. This one is a bonus mark. Okay, you make sure that it's supposed to be a X, supposed to be a X, not a dot, and the line should be touching the X spot. It should be touch the X spot in a way that you try your best to fit in. Should you use ruler? According to the marking scheme, you should not use ruler.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to use ruler, but sometimes you use ruler. It depends on the question. If the question is talking about relationship, usually you might able to use ruler. For example, high temperature with more chemical reaction. So you might want consider to use ruler, because higher the temperature, the more reaction is taking place, and there is a few of the dot is coming out, but that is a relationship. But this is a question based on data, so we want to when you study when you study business or what, it based on data, so it's like a stock market, it go up and down because it is supposed to be in the form of data, not in the terms of relationship. Relationship means something increase, then it will decrease or decrease, then you can use a ruler to draw. But many things because the anomaly result or the data too scattered, then you also don't use ruler. But we are not going into this. Based on the result in table 2, draw a graph. So you draw already. So you will have 2 mark. Make sure that you draw the dot is correct, the line is correct, 1 mark, 1 mark. Make sure your this thing is draw. Usually it's 4 mark even in mathematics, right? Make sure that you write this thing, the what is it, and the unit is very important, the year. Let's say it's kilometer, or this one is minute, hour, or what. So it's say here million, million ton. So this is the unit. If not, you will get less 1 point, less 1 point. So eventually a 4 mark graph, even though you are correct, you just get 2 mark. Even for mathematics, science is very important. Okay, state the relationship between the amount world plastic production with time. So what is the relationship?
Increase.
So the answer increase.
Yeah.
So if you write the answer increase, you won't get any mark.
The longer the time, the amount of plastic.
Yes, the longer the time, the higher the plastic production. But we say don't longer the time. Maybe we say as the time increase, the production of plastic will increase. So this one, it makes more sense. The answer is not just increase, because when you say increase, what relationship you are in? Increase. I am in a relationship with Ali, for example. So that shows proper answering that these are the meaning that you are trying to get. Then you say what relationship you are, then you say I am. You can say I'm, even you say I am married, you don't say married, then it is so weird. But you say I am married, we know that you are married to a male or female, not a transgender, because you are married. Okay, so so this one increase, this one increase. So just make it just on 1 mark. Diagram 4 show 2 different objects made from plastic. So there's a fish net made from plastic and electric socket. That's made from plastic. Plastic got many types. I'm sure that you know. Plastic got many types. Identify the type of plastic. So what is the plastic for the fish net and this switch? This one is by memorization, if you still remember. This one will be, the answer will be thermoplastic. Why I'm writing English word Malay word. Thermoplastic, and this one is thermoset. I'm thinking just now, I want to put here bakelite, and this one I want to put nylon, because actually bakelite is a sub plastic of thermoset, a few more, but never mind. So just put here thermoset. Thermoset means what? What does it mean, thermoset? M-O-S-E-T. Thermoset. Therm means actually the from the word temperature, where this type of plastic can withstand high temperature. So you won't get electric. It won't melt. It won't melt easily. It still melt, but it won't melt. So it's for safety purpose. And this one, the down part is you cannot. It is brittle. So you cannot use this plastic to make the net, because even though it has a very high melting point, but when you bend it will break. But for this one, we want to use thermoplastic, because it first, we do not need a thermoset. We does not need a high melting point, and secondly, we need a plastic that is able to strong and able to bend because we want to catch the fish. So yep, so that would be the type thermoplastic, thermoset. Okay, identify the plastic, so you get 2 marks for this question. And for diagram 5, okay, so we are going to take a short break, and I see you back in the next 10 minutes, 10:10. Okay.
Okay.